Welcome to today's episode of Retail Initiative. I had this aha moment that I'm excited to share with you, so I just want to get into it. So we're going to cue up the theme and then jump into this week's episode. The rules of retail are changing. One by one, corporate retailers are closing their doors, and some call it the death of retail. But those rules never apply to independent retailers like us. We're writing our own rules. We're here to answer the questions about how to grow your business, stay competitive, and still have a life. I'm Josh Orr, and this is the Retail Initiative Podcast. All right, so we're now in the middle of the holidays, and I hope that it's going well for you. If you're listening to this later, I hope the Christmas season was awesome. But I've had this huge realization. And this isn't anything new, but it's an encouragement that I hope can apply to you. So we launched this lead magnet thing. Lead magnet means if you ever get those ads that are free download, whatever, and then you're going to get some emails after. Obviously, it's a sales thing. Of course, we have to make a living. And it's performed okay. We're having some people go through it, and it's producing some stuff, but it's not near what I had hoped. And that was frustrating. And I'm sure that you've had those situations as well. You had a campaign you thought was going to do something and it didn't. Your social activity isn't producing what you wanted. Your sales goals aren't being met. Whatever those things are, and it was frustrating. But then I started to come back to okay, why is it not succeeding? And I started running through these lists of things. I know that, everything in e-commerce comes down to three things: traffic, retention, or traffic, conversion, and retention. Getting more people to visit your website or come to your store. Converting them, getting them to actually make a purchase, and then keep those people coming back. Well, as a service provider, it's really the same thing. It's all about getting people to visit my website, getting people into that funnel, getting them to convert, give me an email address so that way we can send you something, but of course, so we can ultimately get on the phone with you and hopefully work together. And so the formula for me isn't that different as it is for you. It just looks a little bit different. And I started running through the list of okay, what are the things that I know can produce traffic? And these the super obvious things started coming up of the things I can be doing on social media, the way I can utilize my email list, the activity I can do on Facebook ads, the way I can continue to evaluate how those ads are performing. All these things that are pretty obvious came up, and I was looking for the next this big aha answer of okay, this is going to be the thing. If I just do this one thing, it's going to, thousands of people are going to visit, and all of them are going to put in their email address, and it's going to be great. But the truth is, the answer is not in these big aha things. It really is in the simple things. And I had someone in a group that I'm in express some just disappointment. Sales weren't where they had hoped, and there's just a lot of discouragement there, especially in the middle of the holidays. And I get that. I've been in that situation myself, and I know how frustrating that is. And so I commented back with some things that can be done, and I went back and I looked at the things that I had mentioned, and none of them had been implemented. And how much do we really know the basics, the answers, but not implement them? And so that's what I'm hoping that you could leave with today is what are the basic things that I need to be focusing on? So let's break those down. If you are wanting to grow an online business, what do you need to be focusing on at the most simple level? So first, let's start, even though it goes in order of traffic, conversion, and retention, I like to start with conversion. The reason being, picture if you're a sales guy and you're talking to a room and you have 100 people in that room and one person buys. Well, that's a problem. Your sales pitch is bad. You need to go back to that sales pitch and make that better before, if you had to pay $10,000 to get 100 people in that room, would you pay $10,000 to get another 100 people in that room if only one person buys. You need to work on your pitch. The same thing for your website. You need to work on making sure that the amount of people of the people that visit your site, that more of them are actually buying. And it's crazy. A good website, like a high converting website in e-commerce, literally has a conversion rate of 2%. Now that does change based on industries, but a 2% conversion rate is good, which is crazy. 2 people out of 100 buy from you. So that means like traffic is of course a huge deal, but what if you're less than 2%? If you're not getting at minimum like 50 to 100 visitors a day, there's really no way to accurately gauge what your conversion rate is. So if you need to work on that conversion rate, which I would say is more important than traffic, we want to get to traffic. It certainly is important. But if you want to work on your conversion, here's some small things that you can do. First, look at your website from the eyes of your customer. If you go to your website and you don't scroll at all, and you just stare at what's called above the fold, it's the top part of the website, would they have an understanding of who your brand is? Is there anything that welcomes them into your story? Is there anything that gives them a feeling that they want to be a part of? A lot of sites will just push the fall collection, which is fine if the imagery goes along with all of that. Like picture if you go to an outdoor website and they just had something that was like the mountain collection and a picture of a mountain, beautiful scenery. It's not really a feeling that I want to be a part of. But if there is a climber wearing an awesome jacket with a backpack and whatever climbing that mountain, then there at least is some imagery that I have of like, I can see myself in that jacket. I can see myself wanting to do that, even though I'm not remotely outdoorsy. I think I am, but I'm the guy that just wears Patagonia, but I like nice hotels. So that's not necessarily me. But I can see myself being that guy. Can your visitors, when they visit your site, can they see themselves being the model that you have? Like, can they see themselves in that? Next thing you want to look at is your navigation. And I don't just mean like home, tops, bottoms, outerwear, and so on, but how easy is it for your customer to find what they're looking for? And I recommend going about this 2 ways. One, you want your navigation to have plenty that they can actually navigate, but not so much that they're bombarded with options. But next, you want collections. I love having new arrivals, and I love having like your featured collection at that time. Like right now, it might be the holiday collection, and that's going to be everything that someone could wear to a holiday party. And it's going to be a mixture of tops and bottoms and shoes or whatever. The reason we want to do that is it's likely that someone visited your website because they were curious. They're responding to an ad or responding to a social post. They're not looking for a top. They're not looking for a bottom. And now you can curate something that you can sell them the holistic thing that you've styled together. Because it's likely you got into this because you're an artist and you're good at styling those things. This is your chance to showcase yourself. And then the last thing on conversion is reducing risk. And what I mean by that is, like, it's scary to buy online. They want to know that they're buying the right things. So include like, what size is the model wearing? What is the clothing made out of? How do you wash it? Is there any feature, like could a nursing mom wear the top? Whatever those things are. I don't know why probably because I have a little kid, so that's always what comes to mind, because my wife's always looking for stuff like that. But is there anything that we could use to sell it? So again, like your homepage needs to tell a story that they can be invited into. Your navigation needs to be easy, and your product details need to be filled out. Those are obvious things that, truthfully, like you could leave right now and go into 5 products and add better descriptions to 5 products. And that is proven to increase conversion. You could swap out your hero image, like the main one at the top, for an image that invites them into a story. Those are small things that could take 15 minutes. And the weird thing is, these are things that we all know, but how many of us are actually doing them? It's the things that are in the basics that lead to e-commerce success. Next, traffic. Traffic is huge. You need people visiting your website. We can make it high converting all day long. But if we're not having people see it, if that sales guy, if the room's empty, it doesn't matter. So once we've made a website that we know can convert visitors into buyers, we want to focus on driving traffic. And this is the obvious stuff: having a social media presence where you're posting on a regular basis and linking to the right places. Don't just link to your website, link to the products that you talk about. This is building an email list. If your website doesn't capture emails, you are losing out on the ability to own that traffic. And you're not renting it from Facebook. You're not, renting it from Instagram. You never know how social media is going to change their algorithm. So by owning your list, you get the ability to constantly dictate when and how people visit you. So building your list and sending regular communication to them, and through better social media. Those are small, simple strategies that you can use to drive traffic. I won't go too much into retention, but having simple emails through tools like MailChimp or Klaviyo that come out, that go out to customers after they've made a purchase. These are things that just invite them back to your store. This could be a month after they buy something, a coupon code that we send them for being a good customer. Whatever those things are, that's really something I could dive into in another episode. But again, the big takeaway that I hope you get is there are likely simple things that you can be doing to grow your business, and stop looking for the big next aha thing and focus on the basics that are proven. And once you've mastered those, then worry about getting ninja and creating something awesome. So I hope that this has been valuable for you. I'm learning these lessons too. I'm in it with you. And so if you don't follow me on Instagram, you should, because I talk about stuff like this a lot. It's at RetailJosh. Shoot me a DM. Let me know that you listen. I'd love to hear from you. And I thank you for listening, and we will talk next week.